we have an unboxing to do. First and foremost, major key alert. That was corny as shit. Let's start with something light. How about a couple of Rolexes? Two-tone sub. So the question about these always was blue or black.
Blue just pops more, like the blue pop of the gold. I think this is a lot more like low key. And
what would you think about if this was a full gold color? I feel like, even with black markers, I think that would pop.
Yeah.
So I know Rolex is not going to take note, but just wishful thinking. Oh, Alex, nice of you to join us. Did you see the major key? What they've never really messed with is the bezels, right?
Yeah.
Rolex never really messed with the bezels, and I feel like if they did, just get away from the black and the blue. Get into something a little. And Rolex does the same thing all year in, year out, right? They make slight changes to their existing watches, not a whole lot of change, and you have a new model. So here's a Marco watch.
No, this is a beautiful. This actually was released just this year. It's the 5320G with the salmon dial.
Salmon
Although
is hot right now.
Sorry, it's not salmon, guys. It's Auburn or some BS like that.
No, we don't do Auburn. We do salmon. How do we say salmon in Philly?
Yeah.
Salmon.
I mean, this is beautiful. Like, just look at, if you can get a close-up of this, like the triple step lugs, double step case.
Explain for the people. Triple step, double step.
Yeah, so like the triple step lug basically is like 3 arches on the actual lug itself and then 2 arches on the actual case itself. And that's one characteristic of modern Patek watches is that their cases are very well done because the Stern family who owns Patek were originally case makers from Patek. So they always...
I mean, they should technically, right? So salmon is become that next collectible, I feel like.
Yeah.
And with Patek specifically, the hype has kind of calmed down on a lot of the Nautiluses and Aquanauts, and people are starting to see more and more value in watches like this. Yeah. And I always wonder why Patek never made more sports watches, right? They always stuck with those dressy watches that weren't, just as sellable as the other guys, but they've always stuck to their true nature, and now everything goes in waves. And I feel like the next wave is these things.
Technically, this is very sporty still for being something like a very classical complication, right? I mean, you have that kind of pilot style indices, syringe hands.
You heard it here first. I'm sure, Alex, you knew that, right?
Yeah, I was just talking about that.
So in here we have a ladies Cartier. Ever since the success of the Crash, Cartier has tried numerous models that would sort of resemble that without being the Crash. This, I would say, is one of them, and they've yet to be able to find that type of success. There's still a humongous clientele out there of ladies that will not put on a big bulky watch, and they tend to stick with pieces like this. This is a cocktail dress piece. What is this, boys and girls?
Is a Audemars Piguet, reference number Marco.
Yeah, if anybody guesses the reference number of this, I will know. This is actually circa 80s, and this is a pendant watch. AP made quite a lot of these. A lot of these were made for the Asian market as well as the Middle Eastern market. And this is,
it would have been like a brooch, right?
It would be more like a brooch. It's not very practical because the retail prices on these things were outrageous, and right now you can pick them up as deals. More of a piece of jewelry than anything else. I think it's more of a piece of jewelry, and the packaging job on this was just tremendous. That's just amazing.
AP's finest.
Yeah. Okay, and here we have, this is their 100-hour power reserve. That's what this is. You can see the power reserve indicator here, which is pretty impressive for such a small watch. This one's a little bit more special because it was made for Almighty Royalty, and it carries the Conjure logo in the back. And we received yet another. Are we just like buying these things by the dozens?
They're selling like hotcakes.
Is he trying to mimic me? Is that what he's trying to do? All right, another wonderful packaging job brought to you by, oh look, that's another Blancpain. Do you know which one this is, Marco?
Not from seeing. That's an alarm.
Yes, that's the Lehman alarm. I talked oftentimes about packing a lot of bang for your dollar in a single watch in terms of complication. Blancpain is one of those. These Lehman alarms are, A, it's an automatic, B, it's a GMT, obviously. Nick, what are you doing, Nick? Are you trying to sell the watch? Oh, okay, that's fine. So Blancpains, in general, a lot of the stuff from the Swatch Group, I find, they've been sort of out of the limelight. Give me a brand that's been in the limelight from the Swatch Group, besides Swatch.
Yeah, but they kind of do it to themselves, like especially Blancpain, because they release all the best 50 fathoms in super limited, the Barracuda, mil-spec, all in super limited quantities. I mean, even Breguet does Type 20, their nicest dress watch, all in like 20 pieces, 50 pieces.
Product inside, do not throw away. It's one of the newer divers with smoky blue gray dial, I like to call it. Hell of a looking watch. And this is before the crazy hype. They needed to make something in between that offshore, which was always a chrono, and then we needed to step down the retail. Again, the retail difference was only a few $1,000s, a couple of $1,000s, but nevertheless, it put an offshore in under that $20,000 price range. A couple of more Rolexes to go through, and I did leave something special for the end. So, oh, look, it's another sub. So again, I guess we're just buying these by the dozens nowadays. Still like the sub no date. It's just so much cleaner, I feel like.
It's the Submariner.
The Cyclops, just, I don't know. And who looks at the date on their watch anyway?
Yeah, even the time. What's the use of the time?
Yeah. Oh look, it's another sub date. Wow, what an exciting box and this came today.
Yeah.
I feel like a magician with this like little velvety bag, like pull a rabbit out of there. All right, Mark, are you ready?
All right. Ooh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so
What are you looking at?
the Audemars Piguet Concept Sonnerie, Grand Petit Sonnerie, arguably the best sounding minute repeater in the market. I actually did a separate video on this on YouTube. You guys go check it out, where I break down how this thing has been done. With some thanks to Swiss Sound Observatory in Switzerland, obviously. They spent over a year researching how sound will resonate throughout the watch. The materials picked for this watch were picked purposely to see how, exactly this watch would work. This thing is a unicorn. They made a limited edition of, I don't remember how many pieces. Does it say in the back?
I'm sure.
Note they called this the Super Sonnerie, and the reason this is a Super Sonnerie is because the amount of time and research that went into actually developing this minute repeater.
I think also it represents AP's watchmaking prowess period, which is very slept on. People just think they're the Royal Oak company. Not really. I mean, you've said this time and time again. Louis Audemars started the brand making expensive and complicated pocket watches for Tiffany & Co.
Other than that, I think we are done for today's unboxing. Thank you so much for tuning in.